Everybody, I'm Keychain. Today I wanted to talk about the class system in the Ants Underground Kingdom and some of the things that I've learned and some of the things I wish I did when I was first starting out. Now, before I get started, I want to talk about the Amazon App Store. So if you're new to the game, or even if you're an established player and you're in a region that uses the Amazon App Store, you should consider checking that out. It will save you money as you progress through the game if you do decide to spend. All right, getting into the content. So, things that I wish that I knew about this system and some of the misconceptions I had, as well as some advice. First piece of advice, think about what kind of player you are. Now, the class system has 3 separate classes, and they all do different things. But the kind of player you are is big on deciding what class to play and start out with, as well as which classes to swap between. So if you're playing the game for the social aspect, the community, those type things, you don't really enjoy going to fight and kill people that much, you might be a cultivator or a herder. If you love to go and fight people all the time, kill all of their troops, steal all of their resources like me, Raider is for you. That is the fighting class. But that doesn't mean that you have to be just one class. You can swap classes every 3 days for free, and you can also buy a pack to swap back if you need to swap more quickly than the 3-day period. I don't remember what it is, like $10 or something, that you could swap a class back if you don't want to wait 3 days. I'm going to cover each class and the special buildings from each class and some of the things that I think are kind of backwards or that I don't like. And then I'll go into some things that I just recently learned that are fantastic. But first, let's talk about the Cultivator. So the Cultivator has the Resource Factory building, and it boosts your output production, your gathering speed, your troop load, as well as producing resources for you every 12 hours when you hit the button. It gives you a boost of resources. Now, you get extra resource protection from getting hit, you get extra gathering speed by 50%, and then extra troop load while gathering. So I personally don't find that one very useful anymore, but at the start of the game it was super useful because you don't have large marches. You don't have your ants maxed out. You don't have your marches maxed out. So being able to gather more helps quite a bit. Now the downside, if you want to attack as a cultivator, you have minus 30% attack, minus 30% defense, and minus 30% march speed. So you are heavily crippled if you're trying to attack someone as a cultivator. It's terrible. Now let's go look at the actual resource building and go over some of the details. So the cool thing about this is this process. I don't have it right now, but it processes, X amount of your output, for 2 hours or 3 hours. I don't remember what the thing is. I think it's 2 hours. And as you level the building, see this category right here, this process gaining. So as you level it up, it gets up to 3.0, 3.2, 3.4, all the way up to 4 times your current resource output, and I think it's times 2 hours. Now that's pretty significant as you get higher, because here's an example. Look at my plants, 140k per hour. If you and that's right now as a raider, so I have minus 30%. So not only I'm minus 30%, if I was cultivator, I gain 30%. So I go to 0 and go 30% higher. So it's a 60% difference on top of what this building gives. So you gain an extra 30%. So you get the class bonus plus the building bonus plus the not having the handicap. So it would be 90% higher. And then when I hit the button to produce resources, it gives me 3 times my current output for 2 hours, which ends up being a lot of resources. All right. You can level this building all up to 25, and it's pretty decent. So, and by the way, I'm going to cover each building. I'm going to talk about the buildings themselves, and then I'll talk about the Warzone construction and the experience and some of the class specific system features that things I would have done differently. So the second class is Raider. Raider is your fighting class. As a Raider, you gain the special, trophy storeroom that gives you extra attack and defense for your pro unit, but it's your pro unit only, so that's your number one march. Um, you gain troop load while invading, so you can steal more resources. You gain emergency retreat, which converts 40% of your dead into injured when you're invading. And then you get 100% healing speed. So you heal faster, you fight better, you steal more resources, but you're gimped with production. You have minus 30% production of resources, minus 30% production of honeydew, and less troop load when gathering. Now, looking at the trophy storeroom, it's, where did I put mine? Right here in front of my face. The trophy storeroom for every level gives you 1% attack, 1% defense. So all the way up to 25% additional attack and defense, which everything helps when you're fighting. And it's a pretty nice building. It's expensive to upgrade. All of these get pretty expensive to upgrade. So I haven't maxed this one out yet. Mainly because I was running low on honeydew for a while. I'm slowly recovering and I'm getting to a point where I can start upgrading again. But I'm also waiting for upgrade day. Other than doing resource buildings that don't give many points. Major buildings, I'm waiting for upgrade day in Strongest Warzone. Now the third class is the Herder. Now the Herder is your honeydew class. You gain things for honeydew. You gain honeydew output, troop food costs, so you lose less resources from feeding your troops. And then the item price, the Ladybug Habitat, minus 5%. Meh, that one's, whatever. Resources rated plus 100% when being attacked. So you do not want to take a hit from a raider while you're a herder because your resources will vanish. And then you get less healing speed. So the thing that I think is backwards or doesn't really make sense for this class is it's your honeydew, getting extra honeydew, but then this is the trading class where you can send resources using the resource tunnel. Now you're not making extra resources like you would as a cultivator, you're just making extra honeydew. So I don't get why this class has the resource tunnel and the ability to send resources to your allies. But as you go up, you gain more garrison attack and defense, a higher load capacity for sending resources to other people, and then the taxation goes down. But still, you're still sitting at 15% taxation. So if you send 1,000,000 resources to your buddy, well, you're losing 15% of that. 150K just poof, goes away. So why not set no defense and let them hit you and take all the resources for free? Because you're a herder. If they're a raider, they're going to steal them way faster than you can send them. On top of it's probably slow. I've not actually tried it, but I'm guessing that it's a slow march like all of these games. They make it really hard to send resources to support other players. Just not great. All right, so I want to talk about Warzone construction now, and something that I've recently learned that feeds into my next talk about the class system and the experience gained. Let's go look at the tree, and you can see that if you're in a newer kingdom or brand new kingdom or an older kingdom, you'll see a huge difference between your tree and my tree. So looking at the Warzone construction, we've got level 12 buildings on some of these, level 10s, level 8s, level 9s, but this levels up as you go on. Now, right now, it's currently giving, 40 to 50,000, and that's in the range. But let me tell you a little story. I created a new account on server 25 so that I could make Lost Island content, which is going to be happening soon, and you'll start seeing that. But the very first Warzone construction that I ever sent from that account as a cultivator was worth 139,000 experience. I went from level 1 to like level 16 in the cultivator class overnight. It was great. So as you progress, you'll be able to level up these other classes and kind of even things out. You want to pick your main class. I'm mainly a raider, so I stay raider, for probably out of the month, like 60% of the time, and then I switch to either cultivator or herder when I'm running low on something and I need to boost it up. Now, one of the things that I wish I had done differently, or one of the things that I would do differently if I was free to play, would be, let me send these hedgehogs real quick. I would have started off. Well, I started off as a raider because we were killing everybody and stealing resources, and it was great. But if you have people on your server that are hiring you that are killing everybody, and you're not going to be able to participate in that, keep yourself shielded and go cultivator. The reason I say cultivator first is because of the special ants that you get from the cultivator class levels. So I don't think I can see the levels that have expired already. But as you increase your cultivator, you're gaining special ants like redfoot, greenhead, yellow spider. And if you haven't seen my other video talking about non-combat special ants, these are amazing ants. They have abilities that increase your output tremendously. Let me show you one real quick, and that'll just be a quick example, and that'll be what we go off of. So an example would be, if I can find one, my sand. So looking at my yellow spider, I've gotten a couple copies of this, but the first ability that makes a difference is this one here. It increases each sand pile's output by 1600 where I'm at currently, all the way up to 2000. So 2000, say you max this out, 2000 extra per hour per sand pile, and you get 8 sand piles. So that's an extra 16,000 an hour. But wait, there's more. The success rate of rapid production goes up, and the rapid production output goes higher for this building. So if you're doing your rapid productions, you're gaining even more resources from that. This fourth ability increases the boulder effect. So at max, an extra 150% of this 2000. So that adds an extra, 1,500. So it adds an extra 1,500 on top of what's already here. Like, just huge gains here, making it so you're getting, an extra 3,500 per sand pile times 8, which is an extra 240,000. Or is it only 24,000? An extra 24,000 per hour. So that's, a lot in a day on top of the extra you get from, other things like this one here. This one gives you all the way up to 300% or 250% sand output for 2 hours on an 8-hour cooldown. So you can use this a couple of times a day depending on when you use it. Like, use it before you go to bed, use it when you wake up, use it in the middle of the day. Like, increases your sand output by a huge amount. And then as you get additional copies, you can unlock this last ability, which has an RNG factor, but an extra 500,000 to 2.5 million sand every 22 hours. So that's even more free resources. Now, the greenhead and the redhead and the strober, greenhead, red foot, and strober, or I'm mixing those up, but there's one for sand, one for meat, one for wet soil, and one for plants. So these ants are huge to invest in early to help you gain resources. If you're not going out to fight people and steal resources from them, these ants are fantastic. All right, now, the other thing I would do after you get copies of those ants, you're going to want to get and switch to the herder class. Now you want to switch to the herder class because, let me find it here. The herder gives you, as you level up, Giant Destructor. Now that's the equivalent of the ants I just showed you, but for honeydew. So you increase your honeydew output, you increase, it unlocks rapid production for honeydew, which is a huge amount of resources every day that you would not normally get if you were just playing and didn't, ever unlock this ant. You can't get rapid production on honeydew, so it just sits there. You don't gain any additional bonuses from that. So unlocking this ant, really big deal for, early honeydew progression. But to fully unlock it, you got to get way up in there to like level 35, and that's a couple weeks of work if you stay herder full time. So when you first unlock Warzone Construction, probably not as good as the other ants, but that's my opinion. Like, if you really want a lot of honeydew, or you want to like trade honeydew for resources with people, maybe you go herder, you have someone else go cultivator, and you guys supply each other with stuff and level up. Or you have a farm that's a herder, and you have your main as a cultivator or a raider, and you just, keep things balanced. But the other thing about herder is way up here in the higher classes, you've got these special abilities right here. Look at this, hunting points plus 80%. Now I haven't confirmed 100% that this is what I think it is, but in my mind, the only thing that matters when you get extra points is for the server versus server Warzone event. So if you're a herder, a high level herder, you gain bonus points towards construction, you gain bonus points towards gathering, you gain bonus points towards a whole number of things for those events. So it's actually pretty good. Um, Extra evolution points. So evolution points plus 16%. Like, there's one for each of the different events. Extra soldier hatching points. There's extra killing points. There's a lot of stuff in here that if you don't actually dig down in and look into these things, you'll miss. And you'll totally miss it. And I did for a long time. So explore these classes, look through them, see which things sound good to you, what fits your playstyle, especially as your kingdom switch to a more peaceful kind of thing, or you've got your top 10 whales established and you're not one of them. Well, do you need to be a raider if you're just supporting them in towers, and you're supporting them in squirters, you're supporting them in raids? You might not need to be a raider at all. Maybe cultivator or herder full time is how you get your progress and how you get your anthill 25. So just consider those things. I really think that's about it for this video. This is the second time I shot it. The first time my audio about halfway through got corrupted and turned into this horrible like screeching madness sound. And I think on the second time through I probably missed something, but it is what it is. I try my best. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed the content. Be on the lookout for more Lost Island content. Remember to hit the like and the subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.